Everywhere, the scene repeats itself. Downcast people, thumbs incessantly sliding over illuminated screens, eyes glazed over, fixed on notifications, videos, or messages that seem urgent, but in retrospect often mean absolutely nothing. The smartphone, once a symbol of connection, has silently transformed into a kind of technological shackle, discreet and addictive. The belief that you are in control of this device is a carefully constructed illusion. What few realize, however, is that this illusion is in fact the foundation of a vast economic architecture, meticulously built to exploit the most intimate vulnerabilities of the human mind. This is not an accident. It is a business model, and to understand it is the only way to begin to reclaim our mental freedom. The invisible architecture of addiction. If you feel a constant nagging pull toward your phone, if you feel a phantom vibration in your pocket, or if you've ever lost an hour to what feels like mindless scrolling, this compulsion is not a simple failure of individual willpower. It is rather the intended outcome of a sophisticated and invisible architecture. You are holding a slot machine in your hand. Consider its defining feature: unpredictability. You pull a lever, you might get a reward, or you might get nothing. It is this principle, what psychologists like B.F. Skinner identified as a variable reinforcement schedule that makes gambling so powerfully addictive. The brain is not merely rewarded by pleasure, it is captivated by the anticipation of it. Now, consider your phone. Each time you pull down to refresh your feed, you are pulling a digital lever. You do not know what you will find. Perhaps a meaningful message, a viral video, or an important email. Or perhaps nothing at all. Every time you engage, your brain releases a hit of dopamine, the neurotransmitter of reward. But the true mechanism of addiction is not the reward itself, but its variability. This uncertainty creates a compulsive loop, keeping you returning again and again. This is not a coincidence. It is a meticulously engineered process. Tristan, a former design ethicist at Google, has warned for years how features like infinite scroll were created to sabotage any natural stopping point. A book ends at the last page. A film ends at the credits, but the feed is designed to be a bottomless pit of content, a space where you lose all track of time. This deliberate design hijacks our brain's reward system, fragmenting our attention and making deep, sustained thought nearly impossible. Every notification is a calculated interruption designed to pull you out of your own life and back into a digital space. Your focus isn't just being interrupted, it's being harvested. But for what purpose? The answer reveals a new and unsettling economic logic. You are not the customer. To understand the purpose, one must grasp a fundamental truth of our digital age. If you are not paying for the product, you are not the customer. You are the raw material. This is the central logic of what Harvard professor Shoshana Zuboff has termed surveillance capitalism. It is a new market form that, as she writes, unilaterally claims human experience as free raw material for translation into behavioral data. Let us break that down. Every tap, swipe, like, and pause on a video is a data point. This is not just data about your preferences. It is data that, when aggregated and analyzed by machine intelligence, can predict your behavior with frightening accuracy. These systems are not merely observing you, they are building predictive models of your personality, your emotions, and your vulnerabilities. This behavioral surplus is then fabricated into prediction products. These products don't just predict what you will buy, they predict what you will do. What political message will trigger an emotional response? What content will make you feel insecure? At what time of day are you most susceptible to suggestion? These predictions are sold on what Zuboff calls behavioral futures markets to advertisers, political campaigns, and any organization willing to pay to influence human behavior. The goal is no longer just to sell you things. The goal is to automate you. As Zuboff warns, it is no longer enough to automate information flows about us. The goal now is to automate us. Your attention is the resource being farmed. The more of it they capture, the more data they extract. The more data they extract, the more accurate their predictions, and the more valuable those predictions become. The consequences of this system are devastating. On a personal level, there is a strong and growing correlation between heavy device use and rising rates of anxiety, depression, and poor sleep, particularly among adolescents. Recent studies indicate that addictive or compulsive use patterns, more than just total screen time, are linked to a significantly higher risk of suicidal thoughts and other mental health issues in young people. On a societal level, these algorithms push us into filter bubbles, eroding the shared reality required for a democratic society to function. This is not, as some have claimed, the unavoidable price of technology. As Tristan Harris says, surveillance capitalism is not technology. It is a logic that imbues technology and commands it into action. It is a choice that has reshaped our world. Reclaiming mental autonomy. To hear all of this can feel overwhelming, as if we are caught in a system too powerful to resist. But the most powerful act of defiance is to understand the system itself. For as Zuboff says, every vaccine begins with a careful understanding of the enemy disease. Reclaiming your mind is not a matter of willpower. That is akin to challenging a supercomputer to a battle of wills. It is instead about strategically altering the conditions of engagement. Here are the paths to reclaiming your mental autonomy. First, one must dismantle the architecture of interruption. Go into your settings and disable every notification not sent by a human being awaiting your response. A message from a friend may be essential. A notification that a corporation wants your attention is not. Every banner, badge, and buzz is an assault on your focus. Second, practice intentional digital curation. Scrutinize every application on your device. Delete anything that does not provide profound value or joy. For the applications that remain, particularly the infinite slot machines, move them into folders off the home screen, create friction, force a conscious effort to open them. Use your device's own tools to set hard time limits. Third, render the digital environment less appealing. The bright, rewarding colors of application icons and interfaces are designed to trigger a psychological response. By going into your accessibility settings and turning the screen to grayscale, you transform a dopamine playground into a simple, far less compelling tool. Fourth, and perhaps most profoundly, reclaim the value of unstructured time. We have become a society that fears being alone with our thoughts. We fill every empty moment with a scroll. But boredom is not a void. It is the space where the mind processes experience, consolidates memory, and generates creativity. Deliberately create periods of disconnection. Leave your phone in another room. Go for a walk without it. At first, it will feel like withdrawal. Your mind will crave stimulus. Let it. You are rebuilding your brain's capacity for sustained attention. These are not merely life hacks. They are acts of defiance. They are a declaration that your attention is your own, that your mind is not for sale, and that your life is more valuable than their data. The choice we face is not whether to abandon technology, it is whether we will permit it to be a tool for extraction and manipulation, or whether we will demand that it serve human well-being. Aldous Huxley, in Brave New World, anticipated a world where control would be exercised not through force, but through pleasure and distraction. A world where people would come to love their oppression, to adore the technologies that undo their capacities to think. The phone in your pocket is one of the most powerful tools ever created. It is time we remember that we are the ones who are supposed to be using it. It is time we learn to pick it up with intention, and more importantly, to put it down with purpose. The question that remains is simple and devastating. Are we using our phones, or are we being used by them?